So there's an interesting question posed on Instagram today by the tattoo.jobs page about artists being a W-2 versus being an independent contractor. And so I wanted to take a look at the numbers from the artist side, not the shop side, and just see what that looked like, right? From income and tax. And of course, I'm running off estimates here, but it's a pretty interesting conversation. So I wanted to dive in. Now, you'll see here I got my fake client, Taddy McTatterson, and on each side we got the different scenarios. So on the left side is if he's self-employed, 1099 contractor. On the right side, he's a W-2 employee. Now, what I did here is $100,000 gross income on either side. On the self-employment side, I did $1,000 per month in rent, so 12 grand for the year in that expense, plus $500 a month for just other expenses of being self-employed, whether that's ink, needles, etc. So $6,000 there. That makes us at a total of 18 grand for expenses, and drops his Schedule C, his net income that shows on his tax return, to $82,000. On the W-2 side, same thing with 100 grand gross income. However, I did a 30% cut to the shop, so his wages would then equal 70,000. So let's take a look here. Here's his wages on the right-hand side, 70 grand. Scroll down a bit. On the left-hand side, we have Taddy's Schedule C, self-employment income of 82 grand. And we'll notice on Schedule 1 that Taddy gets a deduction of $5,350 when he's self-employed that he's not getting as a W-2. Now, what that is half of the self-employment tax. So that's Social Security and Medicare. As a self-employed person, you pay the full amount, 15.3%. As a W-2 employee, you pay half, your employer pays half, and you don't get to deduct that other half. You do get to deduct half as a self-employed person. All right, standard deduction, just did this scenario as if he's single. So for the year 2022, standard deduction of $12,950. And then another deduction that Taddy, the self-employed artist, gets is QBI, Qualified Business Income Deduction. Okay, I'm not going to get super far into that because it's a whole other conversation, whole other video. But he gets a deduction of $12,740. W-2 Taddy McTatterson does not get a deduction there. Okay. However, we'll look here and see total tax. Now, this is federal and self-employment, not state. Total tax for self-employed Taddy is $17,528. The total tax for W-2 Taddy is $8,168. So about a $9,000 difference. It's quite an increase in taxes when you're self-employed. Now, another thing to consider too, and the reason a lot of shops that people I've talked to have looked at the W-2 side because they want to offer benefits, whether it's health insurance, retirement plan. So that's something to consider here. For example, if we did a 401k on the W-2 side that the shop offered, and let's say they will match your contributions up to 3%. So in this case, if Taddy contributed 3% of his income to the 401k, so that'd be $2,100 based on his $70,000 wages, he would not only reduce his income that's taxable by that $2,100, but the shop would also then match that $2,100 because they have the match up to 3%. So he's getting another $2,100 in his retirement account and reducing his taxes by making that contribution. And then, of course, we can get into health insurance and all that, which is also a whole other beast of a conversation. But something they could offer when artists are labeled as employees versus independent contractors. So I don't think there's really a right or wrong answer in this situation, right? Whether you should be self-employed and be a 1099 contractor or you should be W-2. I think that's a very by the shop, by the artist kind of decision. But the W-2 route can make sense, and it can make your life a hell of a lot easier because it'll be easier for you to apply for loans, so mortgages, auto loans, that kind of thing, because they're usually a little easier on employees for self-employed people. And your tax situation would be a hell of a lot easier because you're not having to track all these expenses and open a business account and run it separately and keep track of all, how people are paying you and whatever. So definitely an interesting conversation. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts on, this walkthrough. Anything you want me to change and run and do comparisons, I'm down. So just let me know. Just think it's an interesting conversation. So let's make some changes to it and see what else can happen and make the numbers look different.